A glorious good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to my presentation. Today I start the class with a beautiful song. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. Brown and grey and blue, yellow, pink, white, green. Brown and grey and blue, yellow, pink, white, green. Pearls in the sky, singing songs, flying high. How is the song? Do you like it? I think yes, you like it. Generally, we love these songs, poems, rhymes because of their rhyme, rhythm, intonation and conveying the hidden message in a super manner. These all comes under in poetry. So today, I would like to explain you about how can poetry be taught differently. Hi friends, my name is Jiruchita. I am studying in 8th standard. I am from TSWREIS JC Girls, Chinnabonala, Rajana Sirsila district. Now we can see the definition of poetry. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of feelings and emotions in tranquility. This definition given by William Wordsworth. Poetry is the rhythmical creation of beauty in words said by Edgar Allan Poe. Now we see the difference between poetry and prose. Poetry is different from the prose. Prose is for information and poetry is for appreciation. Now we have glance about objectives of poetry. Enhance the power of imagination to appreciate the rhyme, rhythm and style of the poem, appreciate the beauty of language, comprehend the basic structure of language. Now let us move to the importance of poetry. Enhance the creative thinking. Means poetry is used for inspiring and encourages the creative thinking and develop the memory power. Poetry can develop the memory power of children. Develop the proper pronunciation. Poetry motivates the children to build phonemic awareness and fluency. Learn new vocabulary. Children can learn new vocabulary through the poem. Now we learn some techniques of teaching poetry. In techniques of teaching poetry, the first one is gestures and posture. Second one is write the missing words of the poem. Third one is extend the poem. Fourth one is rhyme, rhythm and tone. Fifth one is dramatic manner and sixth one is choreography. Now we look into the first one, gestures and postures. My hands are for clapping. My arms can hug tight. My fingers can snap or can turn out the light. My legs are for jumping. My eyes help me to see. This is my body and allow all of me. So when we express the poem in this manner by using gestures and postures, children can learn very easily. Then after we see second point, write the missing words of the poem. Happy to be me. Happy to be me is a poem. We can give with blanks. There is a color of hair, there is a color of eyes, there is an age of child, there is a name of child. So when the child come and fills the blanks, the poem can become his own poem. Then he get chance to recite the poem in front of all class. If suppose the children fills in the blanks, black is my hair, black or my eyes, I am 13 years old and just the right size. My name is Ruchita and as you can see, I am very happy to be me. Then third technique of teaching poetry, extend the poem. First we can give any situation to the children walking through the jungle. Then we can ask them to extend the lines. The student can say a big bad lion roaring at me. Then we ask them to create more lines. The children can create more lines like this. Walking through the jungle, what did I see? A big bad lion roaring at me. A big bad lion roaring at me. Walking through the jungle, what did I see? A long, long snake hissing at me. A long, long snake hissing at me. Walking through the jungle, what did I see? A little baby monkey screeching at me. A little baby monkey screeching at me. So when the child come and presented their own poem, they should have good creative thinking. They should forget the fear. Then rhyme, rhythm and tone. Mary had a little lamp, little lamp, little lamp. Mary had a little lamp, its fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Mary went, Mary went, Mary went. And everywhere that Mary went, the lamp was sure to go. It followed her to school one day, school one day, school one day. It followed her to school one day, which was against the rules. It made the children laugh and play, laugh and play, laugh and play. It made the children laugh and play to see a lamp at school. Here rhyme, rhythm and tone. Rhyme means similar ending sound of the lines. Here example, slow go, rule play, school day or the rhyming words in the poem. And rhythm. Rhythm means strong regular repeated pattern. In this poem, Mary went, school one day, laugh and play gives the rhythm to this poem. And tone. Tone means attitude of writer. In this poem, we can see the love of animal and funny attitude of speaker. If we using all these rhyme, rhythm and tone, children can learn the poetry very easily. And when we read out the poem, we need to be very careful. And the tone also need to be very, very appropriate. On the time, there is a proper pronunciation of the word, which is also important. Because this is a time to learn a new word. Then dramatic manner. It is the stage performance in which actors take roles and speak dialogues. For example, Home They Brought Her Warrior Death. This poem can be expressed through the dramatic manner. By using characters, warrior, warrior wife, maidens, children can perform their characters on the stage to convey the themes. Then choreography. Choreography is a dance form from which the performer bring out our certain themes to resemble a drama or a skit, but there will be not any dialects to speak. And choreography script is meant for better understanding. In other words, we call it critical appreciation for the reader, better understanding of the poem. Now, I will read the poem. Lightly, oh lightly, we bear her along. She sways like a flower in the wind of her song. She skims like a bird on the form of a stream. She floats like a love from the lips of a dream. Gaily, oh gaily, we glide and we sing. We bear her along like a pearl on a string. Softly, oh softly, we glide and we sing. She hangs like a star in the dew of her song. She springs like a babe on the brow of the tide. She falls like a tear from eyes of the bride. Lightly, oh lightly, we glide and we sing. We bear her along like a pearl on a string. Now let us see the important feature of choreography script. Title of the poem, theme of the poem, instances of the theme, locations, character, sequence of action. Now let us see the title of the poem. Children should give a suitable catchy title. For example, this poem title is Palanquin Bearers. Then theme of the poem. What the poet is trying to convey to the readers through the poem. It should not written in number of lines. You have to write very brief what you have understood. The theme of the poem, the joy and pride of Palanquin by carrying the royal princess to her in-law's house and feeling not burdened. Then location instances of the poem means stanza-wise themes and correlated to real life. Instances in the theme, she will be carried by 4 palanquin bearers, and while they are walking, they sing songs very happily. Then locations means which where they taken action place is called locations. In the poem, marriage stage at bride's house, the way to her in-law's house and the bridegroom's house. Then characters. Which character were involved in the poem? We need to identify very main characters and no need to write all the characters. Characters in the poem: bride, bridegrooms, palanquin bearers, parents, 6 to 8 people on the occasion of the marriage, bless them. Then sequence of action. Sequence of action should be divided into scene wise. The first scene, the chorus enters the stage and create visual effect of the marriage. Bride enter to the palanquin, The palanquin bearers lift the palanquin on their shoulders. Then scene 2, the palanquin bearers carrying the bride to the bridegroom's house. Then scene 3, the chorus and the palanquin bearers at bridegroom's house, and the bride is come out from the palanquin. Now we have written a script of choreography. Now children can read the poem individually and then they share their experience of their understanding class. Then now we can observe detailed analysis of the poem of Palanquin Bearers. The Palanquin Bearer is written by Sarojini Naidu and she is known as Nightingale of India. She wrote majority of poems on Indian culture. The Palanquin Bearer is one among them. Now we see the meaning of Palanquin. The royal people used to travel in vehicle carried by the labourers in olden days in India. Now we see keywords in the poem. Gaily means very happily and sways to move slowly from side to side, and skims move lightly on the surface. Glide means move silently in a smooth, effortless manner. Now I will sing the poem. Lightly, oh lightly, we bear her along. She sways like a flower in the wind of a song. She skims like a bird on the foam of a stream. She floats like a laugh from the lips of a dream. Gaily, oh gaily, we glide and we sing. We bear her along like a pearl on a string. Softly, oh softly, we bear her along. She hangs like a star in the dew of a song. She springs like a beam on the brow of the tide. She falls like a tear from the eyes of a bride. Lightly, oh lightly, we glide and we sing. We bear her along like a pearl on a string. The Palanquin Bearers poem is melodious and one of the most appealing poem of Sarojini Naidu. While she is being carried by the Palanquin Bearers, we reminded one of the most ancient custom, carriages to their husband's home, and the men who carried the palanquin, their joy and pride. Here, lightly, oh lightly, we bear her along, means the men who carried the palanquin, they did not feel their job burdensome. While they walking, they sing songs very happily. She sways like a flower in the wind of her song, means according to the palanquin bearers, the bride is moving from side to side like a flower in the wind of her song. Next, she skims like a bird on the foam of a stream, which means a bird passes a stream skipping through the foam of the stream. And the bride is resembles of that bride because she is so delicate to carry. And she floats like a laugh from the lips of a dream. She is said to be like a floating like a laugh from the lips of a dream. And she carries a mixed feeling as she left her parents and she going to start a new life with her beloved. We bear her along like a pearl on a string, means this says that the bride is carried like a pearl on a string. She is as a precious pearl on a string. Gail, softly, oh softly, we bear her along, means they carry her delicate bride softly in the palanquin. She hangs like a star in the dew of her song, means the bride is seated in the palanquin like a bright star and heeds to their palanquin bearer song. Their song is reflected her happiness like a dewdrop reflects a star's light. She springs like a beam on the brow of the tide, means the bride is moving like a beam light, spring that when it reflected by the waves. She falls like a tear from eyes of the bride. The bride movement is also compared with slow falling tear from eyes of the bride, though the bride is delighted to going her in-law's house. And she is so sad for her situation. Lightly, oh lightly, we glide and we sing. They travel far away gliding, even though rough path, they never burden and they never feel sad by carrying the beautiful bride. We bear her along like a pearl on a string. They continue to carry the bride who is as precious as pearl on a string. The theme of the poem of Palanquin Bearers is to reflect about Indian marriages and their culture. The bride is compared to different things like a flower, a bird, a loaf, a star, a beam, and a tear. Is by using such as similes, the poetry intention is to get across that the bride is very tender and needs to be handled with care. It gives a vibrant and outlook rhythmic for the poem. And the repetition of the words will bear her along, or the words such as gaily, oh gaily, lightly, oh lightly, it gives the perception, consistent movement and steady movement of the palanquin bearers. And the poet is describing the bride as heroine of the poem. She will describing the words and movements by different words like skims, sways, floats and loaf. And the poet is representing the bride as she floats like a loaf. Then she writes, she falls like a tear. This creating contradictions because she is in tears. Since she is separating from her family, but she is laughing because she is going to start a new relation with the love of her life. In the poem, the musical effects are gaily, oh gaily, lightly, oh lightly, softly, oh softly. And the rhyming scheme is AA, BB, CC. And the rhyming words are along song, tide bride, sing string, dream stream. The poem is written in such a way that one can be seen as if feel the palanquin is moving. The poet brings so many images to describe the bride. Images in the poem, skims like a bird, means gliding movement of the bird flying over a stream. And sways like a flower, means swaying of a lovely flower in the wind. And floats like a loaf, hangs like a star, springs like a beam, falls like a tear, pulse on a string. In the poem, the poet using three literary devices in the poem, simile, alliteration, refrain. These literary devices are tools to create a new rhyme by repetition of the words, lines, enhance the poem meaning or intensify a mood or feeling. We will look at all these devices through the lens of poetry. Now we learn some literary devices. Simile. Simile means a figure of speech which compares two qualities of similar objects and things, the word using like or as. Similes in the poem, she sways like a flower, we bear her along, she hangs like a star. And metaphor. Metaphor means a comparison of two unlike things to describe. For example, my teacher is an angel. Comparison of teacher and the angel to show her kindness. And personification means the human qualities or giving to non-living thin objects is called personification. For example, the stars danced playfully in the moonlit sky. Then alliteration means a series of words begin with same consonant sound is called alliteration. For example, she sells seashells by the seashore and she sways, she skims, like claw flip and gaily glide. Then oxymoron. Two or more words that cease to be opposite to each other or actually are opposite. For example, open secret and clearly confused leaving death. Then allusion. It refers to someone or something commonly known from literature, history and religion and other areas of culture. For example, don't act like a Romeo in front of her. Then imagery. It represents the object, actions and ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical sense. For example, the fragrance of spring flower made her joyful. Then symbolism. Symbolism is a use of symbols to signifying the ideas and qualities by giving them symbolic meaning that are different from their literal sense. For example, they dressed in black to the funeral of their friend. Poetry is an art. The base of poetry is imagination. And some poets have write the poems on different themes like love, God, sad, nature, spiritual, inspirational themes. And William Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley Keats are the romantic poets. These poets are write about love and nature. And some poets are write about God and spirituality like Aurobindo and Kalidas. And feminist poets write the feminist principles to elaborate the ideas and qualities related to race gender presentation by Arundhati Roy and Armita Pritham. And the Elizabeth Barrett Browning dealt with human emotions, for example, the cry of children. And the In Memoriam by Alfred Lord Tennyson for the death of Hatto Henry to express his feeling. This poem is called Elegy. The poetry is an art for art's sake and art for life's sake. Poetry is dealt with always revolves around of the lines, it facts bitter or sweet. And it is given a pleasure by giving it teach the classes directly and indirectly. There is no poetry without a message. It always full of witty ideas and sensibility minute observation of a poet. Poetry is a result of expressions, emotions, ideas, thoughts, imagination, passions, profound meditation and idea of a poet. I hope you understand my class. Poetry affect all the generations. In poetry class, child enter to a different world because it is the beauty of language. Its message easily reaching to the heart of all the people. Generally, children love the songs, rhymes and poems than the prose. By using all these techniques, gestures and postures, write the missing words of the poem, extend the poem, rhyme, rhythm and tone, dramatic manner, choreography, we can teach the poem effectively. I think, in my opinion, no fixed method to teach poetry. It all depends on the students and the classroom situations. And I convey my heartfelt thanks to Telangana State Government and TSAT channel to providing a wonderful opportunity to expose the talents of the students in front of the camera. And my heartfelt thanks to my beloved principal Madam Ms. Jacqueline Madam Garu to inspire me, and my mentor teacher Chandrakala Madam Garu to be a good guide me, and my house madam Kamala Madam Garu, my staff members and my parents and my friends who are beside of me as a super student in the TSAT channel. Once again, I thank you one and all. Thank you.